the sponsorship of the Degama Group.
Welcome to Rumbo Minero. Cesar, how are you doing? I am Jorge Leon Benavides, and along with Cesar Campos, we will continue to advance this program. Rest assured, we will always strive to maintain its development. Very good, very entertaining one. I think it will be... Let's get started. We will have Pablo O'Brien joining us to talk about the forecast for the campaign this year. He has expertise in social issues, so he will be discussing that. And we will also have lawyer Rosa Bartra to discuss the growing anti-mining discourse in pre-election times. We are attempting to make candidates aware that they should exercise great caution in their actions and decisions. Which side are you aligning with? Because we already know there are radicals who will always side with whoever funds their campaign, which is illegal mining. But take great care in determining which one it should be. You, being a political specialist, which one should it be? How can Peru be helpful as a conversation partner in a discussion?
Of course. Also converts our program, Jorge, I believe, into the given that our program, Jorge, a pulpit for preaching in favor of mining, that is formal. We have always advocated for responsible and modern mining practices, which we firmly support. Anything that implies environmental impact when there is no sustainability, we know it is rather in the hands of illegal mining. There is an urgent need to emphasize this point. Currently, all contemporary mining operations are being closely observed in order to verify the quality of their products. Truly to the demands of the market, but also to the protection and defense of the surrounding communities and the environment. That is what awaits us throughout this year 2025.
That's right, Cesar. Well, let's now move on to the main news of the week, thanks to Gabriela Chicoma.
Thank you, Jorge. Here are the key mining updates that happened this week. The Ministry of Energy and Mines announced that the implementation of the digital single window for the mining sector is already underway and is expected to be completed by next July. The digital single window is currently in its second phase of development, with regulatory improvements that include 21 measures being developed through executive boards, led by the Ministry of Economy and Finance, conducting an analysis of all processes, with the aim of eliminating or simplifying procedures and formalities in the mining cycle. Hudbay Minerals has filed a report with SENAS that aims to expand its copper mine known as Constancia, found in Cusco and appraised at a value of $210 million. The initiative aims to enhance the operational capabilities of the mine while also boosting the efficiency of the processing methods employed. Hudbay is anticipating the initiation of construction in the last quarter of the year 2025. It is expected that mining activities will persist until the year 2030. Ivan Arenas, a consultant on mining issues, noted that the Multi-Sectoral Authority to Combat Illegal Mining and Related Crimes, AMCOMI, would be limited to providing data and solution strategies. Within the framework of the enactment of Law No. 32/22/6, which declares the creation of AMCOMI as of national interest and public necessity, Arenas stated that this organization does not have the power to intervene in matters that fall under the jurisdiction of the Public Ministry and the Ministry of the Interior.
A big thank you to Gabriela Chicoma for sharing the top mining news of the week, which is greatly appreciated. Well, the former congresswoman and criminal lawyer is already in our studios. Also, Rosa Bartra, congresswoman, how are you? Welcome to Rumbo Minero.
Thank you very much for the invitation, and it's great to see you in this new year.
Tell us a little about your opinion. Many analysts question the continuity. Due to various events, we have been able to analyze President Dina Boluarte's term until 2025. Several notable occurrences shaped her presidency and influenced its outcomes. For topics related to Nicanor Boluarte, to Mykonos Beach, which has another name now, how do you see the future? Talking specifically about mining in Peru, it is crucial to address the topic of investment. The notion of separate paths ceases to exist for investors who engage in this field. International and national investors should consider long-term investments in legally regulated mining, as the concept of separate approaches rarely benefits Peru and can pose significant challenges. How do you see it?
Yes, it really is a problem. However, Peru is a unique country in the world, where the economic dynamics have given it a sui generis characteristic in which the country truly lives not only on the fringes of the state, but against the state. That doesn't take away. On one hand, it guarantees stability over time, but it doesn't remove the distrust that any sensible long-term investor should have in political continuity, which ultimately is what will lay the foundation for their investments. How do I see the continuity of Dina Boluarte? She has been saved from everything that could have jeopardized her continuity. From the protests of December 2023, through absolutely all the investigation processes she has undergone, with the raid on her main spokesperson at the end of the year that just ended, not only because of, in addition, the probe may expose her to scrutiny and a thorough investigation, revealing her actions and decisions. And as we see, the Congress of the Republic, by 2 votes, saved Minister Martini. Therefore, the undeniable connection between Dina Boluarte's continuity and that of Parliament is firmly established in my belief. There is a mutual need. So, from that perspective, I believe her stability in office is guaranteed.
Indeed, Doctor, we find ourselves in a pre-election year currently. In the year 2025, all forces are already activated, and what we know from experience and history, especially because we have focused it here in the Rumbo Minero program, there is widespread agreement among left-leaning candidates for Congress and the presidency that legal mining activity should be strongly opposed, precisely emphasizing the discourse against it. They start to pejoratively denounce mining as an exploitative and immoral practice, implying a negative connotation to it. What can you do to counter this, in your opinion?
Cesar, that is indeed a point that seems of extraordinary importance to me. Because the elections of 2026, I truly don't believe these will be brought forward because, moreover, we are heading to an election with a different political model, which is bicameral, poses a challenge in the sense that, on one hand, the speeches that will be used in the electoral campaign, which indeed this period in our history will witness unprecedented radicalism and violence far exceeding any previous occurrences. Moreover, there is something very important, which is precisely this design, the bicameral design. It suggests the establishment of a House of Representatives and a Senate. However, in the Senate, there would be a total of 30 senators, which represents 50%, who will have a single electoral district. That is, they will be elected 1 per region. So it is not difficult to speculate on the identity of the senators who will represent the areas marked by significant conflicts in the mining industry. The regional leaders, those who can also craft a discourse that resonates with this resentment that is also historical among the population. The disapproval of the President of the Republic has never been as high as that exhibited by Dina Boluarte. And the level of disaffection with politics and politicians must be at those same levels. So if political parties, if the large mining sector, which in this case the question pertains to, do not take care to intervene directly so that the best candidates are those put forward in the electoral offerings, the country is undoubtedly doomed to experience a very turbulent period. The inequality in terms of power between the 2 chambers, between deputies and senators, with a super mega hyper ultra powerful Senate, pardon all the superlatives, but that's how it is going to grant each regional senator a very significant amount of power, especially
Because it no longer returns the bill to the House of Representatives, right?
not only
They have all the power to approve it.
the power so that if it enters as a water bill, it comes out, I don't know, iron, or it enters as gold and comes out as copper without having committee studies, without having legislative initiative, without having anything. Moreover, all political control is ultimately confirmed in the Senate. Essentially, the deputies serve merely as a transitional body.
Agreed.
So I conclude the idea, in the face of this enormous power that the Senate will have, there must be direct intervention from those who are concerned and warned about this situation to ensure that the electoral offer is optimal.
All right. Getting a bit deeper into mining, what we have witnessed is unfortunate for us because the reinfo is truly a document, which hand gesture sparks suspicion from the police on anyone's behavior. Illegal can say, well, I've been in the process for 12 years, right? So what is your opinion on what happened regarding the fact that Congress, did I require a head? Sadly, Romulo endured a great deal due to the fact that he submitted the reinfo too late. There was time, it had already been discussed. There was time to analyze the reinfo, but they said no, it's already very late. We need to remove Minister Romulo, and we approved for 6 months with the option for the executive to approve 6 more months of the reinfo. Congress took the easier path.
No, this particular Congress focuses on reforms, has no reasons to explain absolutely anything. In fact, it can pass a law today and repeal it tomorrow after having gone through a long path of debate and passing a new law without debate. So this notion that I didn't have time for the proper analysis of the law that Romulo presented is quite a lot, is in no way acceptable. It should be acceptable. It is unacceptable. In my opinion, Congress opted for the simpler route, eliminating the issue and showcasing Mucho's head as a trophy. I look good with everyone. I extend the reinforcement. I make no changes. And on top of that, I pass the ball to the executive to extend it until the end of the year.
Artisanal illegal outside.
At the door of Congress
There are
and
7
on
roads,
the
aren't there?
highways. So they have definitely done very poorly. They have not faced the problem to provide even a solution, even of a medium and very medium term. They have prolonged it, and I think this correlates with what we just mentioned, the topic of the upcoming electoral process. Politicians and candidates will require the support of illegal, informal, artisanal, ancestral mining, or however one wishes to call it. Let's remember that there is a tremendous economic power at this moment, and their interests, which hold great importance, will soon be directly shaped by the next parliament, so I firmly believe. There is an undeniable symbiosis there.
For you as a former congressman, this situation, as you just described it, is distressing. Isn't it? It's distressing because it's not a minor issue, right?
By no means is it minor. The country is experiencing record levels of violence, of insecurity, historical as well. And this is exacerbated when there is no longer a rule of law, when the law of the strongest prevails, in this case, the one with the most money. And I am going to insist, because it is a topic that is being talked about very little, in the face of a political model that is coming, which will have a much greater potential for conflict.
Finally, Doctor, I wanted to ask you about the future of Petroperu. We already know there is a new directive. There is a fresh committee led by engineer Alejandro Narvaez. He has put forward a detailed sustainability strategy aiming to project its impact into the year 2023 and beyond, which has been extensively circulated, yet many believe that they are merely words now and opinions. But it will be necessary to verify how many of these aspects are executed. What do you think about Petroperu's future in 2025?
I don't see it differently from how its trajectory has been. Yes, I am very concerned that this government has invested. I don't know if the term is investment or ultimately a waste of money, an expense, a squandering of resources that we don't have. The substantial allocation of 12 billion sols that this government has directed towards Petroperu represents a significant financial commitment. In exchange for what? In exchange for what? 4% deficit. So I don't quite understand the government's logic in making these kinds of decisions. The MEF is absolutely irresponsible. This will never yield returns. And unfortunately, that's why I believe it will be much more money lost that will add to everything that has already been lost.
Despite the fact that the president of Petroperu, in my opinion, has made a mistake as soon as he was elected. He said that no more money would be requested from. That is,
it was a lie as big as the sun. It's impossible that more money won't be needed given the situation of Petroperu. The situation hasn't been fully disclosed, and this seemingly statist drive of the government is not understood, and therefore it only reaffirms that this is a government without direction, without a compass, without strategy, without ideology, without absolutely anything good to offer us.
Well, thank you very much. It has been a pleasure having you for the first time in the Rumbo Minero studios. Let's hope it won't be the last. And well, I don't know if we'll have a candidate for Congress. I was thinking about that, I suppose.
I've been involved in politics since I can remember, and politicians never stop doing it. In fact, I'm speaking more as a politician than as a lawyer. I always persist in my practice, regardless of the team I am with, to maintain continuous growth
Very
and
clear.
improvement.
Thank you very much for being on Mining Course. We look forward to having you again.
Thank you.
We're going to a commercial break and we'll be back. Well, in our international segment, America Mining, we are joined by the international editor of Mining Course magazine, José Gonzáles. José, how are you?
Glad to be with you.
Tell us a bit. For some, the Trump hurricane is coming. For others, good things. For others, not so good things. But what is certain is that things are going to happen during this new Trump presidency. Please share your thoughts on what is expected to come and the potential consequences it may bring.
This year, 2025, is going to be unique. The worldwide tensions are causing economic and geopolitical dynamics to an extent that can't be overlooked or underestimated. The effects are wide-reaching. There will be a new meeting between them in China and Trump in the United States. Let's remember that the pandemic and a tariff war between the United States and China had effects that were somehow resolved by the Biden administration and are returning. And why is this important? Given the unpredictable dynamics between the world's two dominant economic powers, much hinges on President Trump's choices. The outcome could either be tense or constructive. The future is uncertain. China's response to the new arrangements following agreements with the Biden administration determines how it handles these fresh relationships. The American economy still dominates global dynamics, boasting a staggering $23 trillion economy, ensuring its leadership on the worldwide stage. The economy of China has a value of approximately $16 trillion. What will be the main focus of examination in the United States after President Trump assumes office on January 20th? The areas of inquiry are expected to center on key aspects of reform. Which aspect has he identified as a crucial factor affecting the expenses in his revised approaches towards implementing tariffs? How does he respond to the realities of international trade when considering his commitment to reindustrialize the country? What impact does the increase in oil production have in the United States? How will he ensure effective utilization of tax resources? Trump has implemented tax reform in the past that had decreased taxes and income. However, it was not accompanied by reduced spending. Now he has a new commission aimed more at cutting that spending, but we will see if it is successful or not. The fixed income debt markets remain notably uneasy, reflecting ongoing investor concerns about economic conditions and potential policy changes. Due to the inflationary pressures that could be generated by Trump's policies, the potential tension with China could impact the influx of imported consumer goods into the United States, potentially disrupting supply chains, and his immigration policy that may impact employment. The tensions and dynamics surrounding increasing costs in the United States are focused
Suddenly, Jose, we can be more specific about what China's economic dynamics will be, because it is a country that has experienced over several decades, there has been a tremendous growth rate ranging from 6 to 9%. And suddenly, in recent years, they have not achieved those goals. Moreover, they had set them during the last Congress of the Chinese Communist Party with clear directives from Xi Jinping. Regarding this, what can we expect from China this year, 2025?
This dynamic, Cesar, the mining sector greatly relies on the relationship between China and the United States. China remains the largest global consumer of metals and minerals, while the United States plays a crucial role in this partnership, and Europe should be the driving force of that demand in the energy transition that Trump might not affect. In the Chinese case, as highlighted during last year's Congress, it specifically pointed out and emphasized it is evident that the goal was to prevent fiscal spending for the revival of the Chinese economy. Currently, there are two monetary strategies in place, both aiming to stimulate an economy that is showing no signs of growth, more than 5%. And that will continue to be the focus we will have on the Chinese economy, the tensions that arise or not with the United States, its role in the new global geopolitical dimension, its relationship with Russia, the success or failure of Xi's recently introduced proposal to strengthen domestic markets and channel investments into what they define as critical markets will be pivotal. Peru, among several other countries, is fundamental. This tension, the global growth will heavily depend on the dimension between an immobile China and a United States that alters its direction. This factor is crucial and will have a significant impact on the development of the world. Demand for metals and minerals in this coming year.
To conclude, what plans and features are in store for the magazine Rumbo Minero in the year 2025?
We are going to focus on all these dynamics, Jorge, of global growth, the challenges for the Peruvian economy, the new environmental agenda concerning COP30 scheduled to happen in Bethlehem, Brazil, is especially crucial for Latin America. These geopolitical dynamics, once again, the challenges for Peru. In Peru, we currently have 57 mining projects, out of which 14 are scheduled to commence soon and have the potential to attract investments worth an estimated $54 billion in total. Doubling Peru's gross domestic product, generating revenues of $40 billion in fiscal terms, increasing the number of mining suppliers to 8,000, creating 1,800,000 jobs at the port of Chanche mining infrastructure, and the process of mining industrialization in Peru, which is the subsequent step we are about to take. That's right. The skills and challenges we will encounter in the lithium triangle, along with Argentina's rise as a mining producer due to legal policies, are significant. The challenges in Chile. In the first quarter of this year, Panama is faced with the decision of whether to shut down the first quantum mine, influenced by the new policies introduced by President Chimbo in Mexico. The projection of Brazil, particularly of Vale, towards copper production in the rest of Latin America.
Fantastic. A big thank you to José Gonzáles. Now remember to check out www.rumbominero.com. You can access the virtual magazine at no cost. Additionally, you can also get the physical magazine, of course, but the virtual magazine if you are a supplier or want to become a supplier in the mining sector. Visit www.Rumbo Minero for our magazine. Well, during the interview, we are delighted to have the esteemed presence of Pablo O'Brien, a renowned historian, expert in social management, communication, and conflict negotiation. How wonderful to have you back here at the prestigious Rumbo Minero studios.
Thank you very much and Happy New Year.
Pablo, tell us a bit about the border between Peru and Ecuador. It's a new topic. I don't know if it's new, but at least it's come to public attention, especially in the region where the conflict between both countries took place. Public institutions responsible for ensuring the prevention of illegal gold mining in the Cenepa have weakened over the past 2 years, preventing it from becoming a hotspot for such activities, protecting the national territory and ensuring the population's well-being. How should we approach this issue? I mean, there is currently a gold rush happening in Peru, which is causing countries to ignore the issue of poor immigration control. Consequently, illegal mining will become prevalent, even worse.
This problem, the problem of illegal gold mining, has persisted for a considerable period of time and remains unresolved. In Ecuador, referring to it in that manner is somewhat informal, and this has been the case for many years now. I have distinct memories of my time at the Ministry of Energy and Mines, where I used to work diligently. Traces of mercury were found, for example, in the Morona River. For instance, the Andoas camp in Peru, which currently belongs to Petroperu, is situated very close to the oil zone of Andoas, where traces have consistently been discovered. Traces, and they try to blame the oil companies for this, when we know that oil companies do not use mercury. This migration or transfer of mercury through the river, so to speak, was primarily caused by the active and ongoing processes, let's say, in the mining operations that took place nearby, but maintained their meaning. This has also been shifting towards the Peruvian side, or we are talking about the Cordillera del Condor, which has always been said to have a lot of gold. There is now an ongoing exploitation from both Ecuadorian and Peruvian sides, indicating a collusion between the two parties involved. However, they are indeed making their way through. There is a phone call. They are taking their actions too far, as there are existing dredges involved. An operation for mining, just like the illegal mining we currently regulate, and there is absence of supervision at the borders. It is truly remarkable that there is no border control, as it is a matter of great significance and worth noting. There are various challenges at the border, such as illegal mining, migrant and drug trafficking. However, it is important to note that these issues do not specifically refer to the Ecuadorian border. There's an existing situation due to the lack of activity in several regions, such as Piura, Amazonas, and Cajamarca. We return to something we have discussed before in Peru, which is this situation of absolute territorial lack of control. meaning Peru has no territorial control. And I am not even talking about the border, not a somewhat remote, difficult to access border. This Peru is much more easily accessible from Ecuador. This, I am telling you, in Chilca, or in this place where there is already land trafficking, those kinds of things, there are murders all the time. So the problem is the deterioration of the country in that sense.
Moreover, you yourself are a witness as you travel through different regions. Observing these problems directly in Peru, Pablo found a glimpse, where, above all, the lack of adequate infrastructure is evident to regulate the flow of illicit gold destined for Bolivia and subsequently exported, ensuring the meaning and length stay within acceptable variation. It's unbelievable that a route for verification and control cannot be established.
Exactly, and the surprising thing is that when one reviews the production, let's say, of formal gold by the Ministry of Energy, and there are considerable discrepancies in the quantities of mines and exports that are officially recorded by customs. For example, there can be discrepancies of up to 4 units, $1,000 billion in copper gold, another $4,000 billion. So we're already talking about figures approaching $10,000 to $12,000 billion. Dollars solely in matters of illegal gold and iron, lead, even tin or molybdenum are exported, meaning we are in a situation of absolute and total. And as
Regarding drug trafficking, it is not pointless to believe that there must be, in any circumstance, corrupt actions by some officials that facilitate this occurrence.
If it is, and one of the problems that we have also pointed out here previously is related to the control of chemical inputs, exactly the same as in the case of drug trafficking. And inquiring about the activities of the zone is crucial, as the zone bears the responsibility for overseeing the regulation of chemical inputs, isn't it? Hence, it's necessary to inquire. We need to apply more pressure, and there should be at least some activity. They should give us a report on what they are doing to control chemical inputs, because without chemical inputs, none of these activities can happen. These two activities are not separate. On one hand, there's that, and on the other hand, there's also the absolute lack of control. That exists regarding the issue of treatment plants. Not the concession plants as they are known in the mining sector. So there are plants everywhere, and the regional governments are the ones granting the authorizations. And we see that there are successive permanent authorizations, and even more so.
In addition, these are plants that obtain something legal, but they also receive something illegal. Therefore, they blend formalization with informality. I wanted to inquire about this. This is the 44, Peruvian gold. Illegal is 44% of South America. This is a truly alarming figure. On the other hand, approximately $6.84 billion has been earned, accounting for 40% of the total. I want to clarify that I am not implying the opposite. They have done illegal mining this 2024. In other words, already, for the first time in history, it equaled or surpassed legal mining. Speaking of large mining companies, that is, to reach those volumes, how many are there and already being? I'm not surprised by this topic we're discussing in Ecuador, since it being responsible for about 44% of the illegal mining activities in South America makes it an attractive destination for anyone involved in the practice. A group involved in illegal activities?
This is how things unfold. We need to consider various factors, primarily the prices involved at atmospheric prices, and that will dictate demand. In second place, that there are buyers in large quantities. But obviously you can't. It's the market, let's say, that leads us to this. There are substantial purchasers available. On the one hand, there is absolute territorial anarchy, making it ideal for cultivating such activities. This creates a fertile environment,
Is this concern
for their
regarding
development,
military
which is,
affairs,
of course,
correct?
advantageous. Yes, indeed. The situation pertains to the border matter, specifically a military concern. It is imperative not to permit them to carry out any activities involving extraction of resources. Natural to the country that also belongs to all Peruvians. And this with, let's say, companies that are foreign and that also take it away. There is a whole law that does not allow you to develop activities within 50 kilometers. This is at the border of the borderline, and yet they do it here at a distance of 5 kilometers.
That's an additional one.
So where is it? This control supposedly doesn't allow anyone to be here. A new shopping center will be constructed in Tacna town, Peru. Formal, which will provide employment because it is 50 kilometers from the border with Chile. and they allow this type of illegal activities in plain sight of everyone. I mean, that's the incredibly schizophrenic thing about this country. There are a lot of formal issues for those companies, let's say, that are operating legally with a ton of restrictions and regulations, etc. And for the others, it's an open invitation.
Right, isn't it? Let's revisit the case of Bolivia because it's something you also know. And you are aware that the Suchez River, which marks the border at over 4,300, at an elevation of meters above the sea level, this location has emerged as a primary hub for the illegal transportation of explosives. In this very location, you can also find the renowned Sunday markets, where a wide array of consumer goods, including daily necessities, are available for purchase alongside these dangerous explosives. Of course, it has been detected, of course, we know about it, and we are discussing it. However, a remarkable situation is unfolding in Bolivia, wherein the country is currently grappling with an extremely severe economic crisis, to the extent that they have resorted to adopting the currency of Peru as their benchmark. Could you explain a bit about the permissiveness Bolivia has for the gold trafficking that occurs there at the border?
What happens is that in reality, the Peruvian-Bolivian border has all kinds of trafficking. Before, they used to bring gas, not this oil, gasoline. All kinds of fuels, weapons, Peruvian gold that cross the border, and Bolivia does not produce gold. And despite this, it still manages to export gold. That permeability, that capacity that exists there, let's say, to
It is universal with all the products
and evidently explosive smuggling, especially for the southern Andean region, right, is very active. But that's not the only way. Most people don't realize they are buying with fake Sucamec permits. There's a kind of trafficking, if you think about it, of a very large amount of explosives in Peru, and there we return again to the topic of what measures are being taken by companies and regulatory institutions such as Sucamec to effectively handle these supplies, considering the possibility of reductions. Inputs. The activity will know how to go. The other issue is the traceability of gold, etc., which can be done. I mean, it's really easy. Technology allows you to try to determine the origin of each matter.
Isn't the issue also the problem of corruption?
And the corruption.
There are many people who turn a blind eye, right?
I mean, to be able to transport all those trucks of copper and gold along the route in Peru, it's very easy to control them. I mean, there aren't that many paths, of course not. And now with all the technology available, satellites, drones,
Can militarization
etc.
be considered as a viable option in this situation?
Whenever militarization has been successful, it has been employed. However, it has not proven effective in managing the intended objectives. So, if I understand correctly, the problem was sorted out in Guayaga, correct? In Peru, there were two choices that were implemented. The brain was there, right? The matter got resolved at some point, you know? In some cases, I think militarization is crucial. However, sustaining the matter becomes difficult. And furthermore, it leads to the corruption of the armed forces, doesn't it?
The solution is to implement a law that leans more towards a middle ground. Not something trivial or ineffective like Rainfo, but rather a well-structured and practical map that's significantly more manageable and easier to navigate.
I believe the problem is not so much the MAPE. I mean, the MAPE must exist. We all agree on that. We need to support them, etc. The problem is the informal and illegal ones, and people who absolutely have no interest here, but they are not interested in anything. So we have seen possibilities for them to move to other places, but they don't want to. They want to stay there.
I have little time left, and I didn't want to miss the electoral campaign question. We firmly believe that the assumptions we have made are accurate and well-founded. Legal mining is not attacked as much anymore, right? It has done a good campaign, honestly, to make its statements known. I think it helped me a lot too, but it's going to be talked about, I believe. I am in favor and support implementing further measures to address the issue of illegal mining. I'm not in favor. It goes that way, except this. Radicals like Antaro, like Sigrid Bazan, who is leaving, they want to go to or have gone to the Tambo Valley and have staged a protest where 20 people show up, but they make it look like 200. Right? It's already a recurring issue, but it seems that the topic, I don't know if you agree with this, is going to be more about illegal mining.
Yes, totally appropriate, and I think it has already been just that it was more camouflaged, it wasn't done, and it was seen very strongly with Humala. Humala brought several congressmen. I got injured with a list to eat gold, if you remember. Humala, in his first act when he became president, went to Ayacucho and was with the illegal miners from ASMIL, an association of illegal miners at that time, right? The same thing, I believe, has occurred in other campaigns, particularly in those where similar dynamics or conditions were at play.
And what could happen now with the amount of money from illegal mining for the campaign, especially for the radicals?
I believe we witnessed it near the fortress, and currently it is expected to expand significantly as unlawful miners have greatly revealed themselves since the year 2019 onwards. It's that they have managed to get laws from Congress that have allowed them to extend the rainfall from 2019 to 2021, 2023, and now 2025, or rather 2024. So there is a progression in that management, and this issue is going to be a matter of absolute importance. And it would indeed be very important for both the electoral authorities and the prosecutor's office to be very closely monitoring to know how the electoral campaigns are being financed.
And they should act at the moment,
Not after the election.
Our utmost gratitude to Pablo O'Brien for being by our side in this journey. We appreciate it and hope to have you again another time. Thank you very much for the invitation. Well, there is the call to the government. Be very careful during the electoral campaign. Individuals or organizations who receive funds must face sanctions promptly. Illegally. We will take a commercial break and return. Well, as we reach the end of the program, Cesar, we have Dr. Rosa Bartra joining us today as our honored guest. That gives us a much more concrete, precise angle from the political side about what is happening. It has left me worried.
Without a doubt, Pablo O'Brien is actively involved too. He has extensively explored every inch of Peru and has keenly observed the escalating issue of illegal mining and the detrimental pathways it is forging. Attempting to bypass all their controls, it is clear that a positive outcome is nowhere in sight. Not even with your frequent request can the impact of militarization be overlooked as a means of exerting control of this. The truth is, it's not about being pessimistic, but we must be realistic and listen to voices like O'Brien and Bartra to know what is coming in the present.
That's right. There is one from Rumbo Minero. We sent an alert to everyone who is going to participate in these elections, which will be many, right? In order to demonstrate seriousness and respect for Peru, let's also acknowledge legal mining and initiate a discussion on the issue of illegal mining. But be careful. By closely monitoring the actions of the authorities, particularly those involving political parties subsidized by the profits of illegal mining, which undermines governance and public trust. The sanctions need to be swift, without waiting for someone to hold a position of power. Immediate action is crucial to combat illegal mining campaigns, rather than waiting for individuals to become politicians or presidents. Let's all play fair. I strongly believe that every citizen can support this ideal. So thank you very much for being with Rumbo Minero. Thank you very much, Cesar. As always, my name is Jorge Leon Benavides, and with Cesar Campos. As always, we have developed the current program in a few minutes. The Peru program is coming up. Thank you very much.
By 2025, Peru is expected to witness a surge in mining investment exceeding $6 billion. This will firmly solidify the nation's position as a significant global mining hub. Expo miners and suppliers, along with MinPro 2025, play a vital role in promoting business deals within the mining industry and its suppliers, thereby boosting commercial transactions. Reserve your stand and participate in the most comprehensive mining fair in the sector, with exhibitions, conferences, and business roundtables, all in one place. The Lima Convention Center will host an event on June 24th and 25th, extending for a duration of 2 days. Take advantage of Peru's leading economic power by conducting business with them. Secure your booth at minproperu.com so you don't miss out.